Welcome to my madness, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be taking a look at a knockoff MAFEX John Wick from John Wick Chapter 2. Now, this was sent to me by a subscriber. He had ordered it off of everybody's favorite knockoff place, of course, Aliexpress. And he wanted to send it to me because he knows I like John Wick, and I don't have any John Wick figures. And so he was like, you know what, I'll pick it up and send it to you, and we'll see what you think of it. So here we have it here. And I've been playing around with it for a couple days. And, you know, I'll go into all the details and stuff on it. But I do have to say right off the bat, I'm actually pretty impressed for it being a knockoff. Now, it is not perfect, and it does have a couple issues, which we will go over here. But just in general, overall, I mean, I'm very glad that I have this now. It looks really, really good, and in fact, if you look at the face sculpt there, it's actually done really, really well. A lot better than some of the other KOs I've seen, especially when you're talking about knockoffs that, you know, are trying to portray a face, especially an actual person's face like Keanu Reeves. A lot of times you get some really, really crappy head sculpts, and this one I think looks pretty good. I don't know, you guys let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this guy, but I think he looks pretty good. So I mean, I'm happy with it, especially because this is a knockoff. Now real quick, I do want to show you, this guy's running right at 6 inches, and you can see that here if we put him up right there. He is right at 6 inches there. And so he is, you know, an actual true 1/12 scale figure, true 1/12 scale. And some people don't like that. Now I'm going to do some comparisons here with him and some other figures to kind of give you a better sense of what that means in a display. But first, let's take a look at a couple things here. We're going to move him out of the way. I'm going to show you guys the box that he came in, which of course is an obvious KO box. It came in all dented up. It doesn't have the little MAFEX hologram on it or any of that stuff. You know, I mean, it's a decent looking package, I guess. And, you know, comes in there, all the accessories if they were in there. It looks fine, but, you know, obviously it's a knockoff, so we've got that. Now, real quick, I do want to show you the accessories that he did come with, because quite honestly, I was very, very impressed with the accessories. So, as you can see here, we do have quite a few sets of hands. So you've got open hands, trigger hands, fisted hands. Then you get like a couple of other random hands, one of which, of course, has him with his infamous pencil in his hand. Of course, then we get a nice, you know, a tactical 870 shotgun. We've got an AR-15. We've got a full-size Glock 17, and then kind of a little compact-looking Glock 26 type firearm there as well. And of course, he comes with the extra head. And then, of course, he also comes with his dog. So nice layout of accessories there. And they all work great, and I'll show you some of the accessories on him here in just a little bit. But overall, I mean, as far as, you know, look and sculpt, and not that there's much paint on this guy outside of the head sculpt, which if you look really, really close, and I don't know if you guys can see this on camera, it is printed on there. So they did use printing technology on there. And so it actually looks pretty good. Outside of that, there's really not much paint on him. It's mostly just molded plastic, but it looks pretty good. But now we got to talk about articulation, and that's kind of where this figure falls short of, well, you know, especially an actual MAFEX, but, you know, even other figures as well. And we'll start with the lower arms here, the forearms. And, you know, basically you do get decent articulation as far as the double jointed elbows go, but the problem is, and these just kind of come right off. Now, because there's no rotation on this, because you have those cuffs there, you actually could, if you wanted to, glue those in place to prevent that from happening. I don't really have a need to do that. I'm not going to be putting him in crazy poses all the time where his arm's going to be falling off all the time, but they both do that right there on the lower arm there. And so that's something you want to be aware of. Like I said, it would be a fairly easy fix. You could pop these off, and then down in that channel in there, you could just put a little dot of glue and it would hold it in just fine. But they actually fit pretty nice without that, so not really much of an issue there. And then the other big thing that I noticed is on the hips here. And he does actually have kind of drop down hips. Not much, but you get a little bit there. The problem is the socket inside the thigh, it doesn't really move. So you can get a little bit of spread there, but not much, because if you do it too much, well, the leg just comes off. And what it is that socket here, which is supposed to rotate up and down, it doesn't. It's just one piece. It just stays in there like that. So you don't really have much when it comes to flex in the hips. Now, as far as going forward, as far as going back, it does okay. You do have single jointed knees there that actually look really nice when you open them up. They're nice and filled in there, but they only come back about that far. You know, arms are standard ball socket joints there, and they do pretty well. He doesn't really have a whole lot of forward and back, mostly because of the coat. You know, standard ball joints there on the wrists, and of course you can swap those out. Feet don't have a lot of movement on them. You do get toe articulation, which is nice, but other than that, you get a little bit of pivot there, and that's it. Rotation, not really, nothing there. So articulation is where this guy kind of falls short, but the sculpt and everything looks good enough, and especially for this being a knockoff, I don't really care, to be honest with you, because I'm not going to have him in crazy positions on the shelf. It's just going to be him and the dog holding guns. And so, you know, for what it is, I mean, even with lacking articulation, I think it is still looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and throw him up with some other figures here so we can get a better comparison on the scale of this guy. All right, so for a couple of other actual MAFEX figures here, we've got Spider-Man. This is number 185, my favorite Spider-Man of all time. I think this is the greatest Spider-Man action figure to ever exist. And then, of course, we've got Boba Fett there. And you can see they're both taller than him. Spider-Man's just a hair taller than him. Boba Fett considerably taller than him. Boba Fett's probably a little closer to 6.5 inches. Spider-Man just a hair over 6. Either way, you can see, depending on where you put him in a display, it's not just his size, but the smaller scale, the smaller head, hands, that kind of thing. He does stand out a little bit if you start getting too far away from that true 6-inch scale, as far as, you know, how he's going to look much smaller than a lot of these other figures. And now for some Hasbro Black Series Star Wars figures. Of course, you can see Han Solo and this guy are pretty close to the same height. Luke here is actually a little bit shorter, so he's actually sub 6 inches here. So in a display like this, not that you would need John Wick in your Star Wars display, but he looks much more at home here. And then, of course, do some comparisons to some standard Marvel Legends figures. Of course, we got Havoc on both of these. On the left, we got the Bucky Cap. On the right, we've got the Sunfire body. You can see they're both taller than him. The Bucky Cap body's not as tall as the Sunfire body, but these are still two fairly, you know, common figures that are used for a lot of characters. So this gives you more of an idea how he would stand out on kind of a Marvel Legends display. All right, now we got a couple Captain Americas here on the left. We've got Figma on the right. We've got SH Figuarts, and this is kind of where he fits in just perfectly. Is you know, in these true 6-inch scale figures. That's where this guy is. This is where he looks the best. So if you've got a collection of SH Figuarts or Figma, or you know, even the 3.0 or whatever it might be, this is probably where he's going to fit in best. All right, so let's talk price here real quick. And right now you can pick this guy up just as you saw him here on Aliexpress for anywhere from $14 to $20, and half of those listings on Aliexpress have free shipping. So is it worth 20 bucks or less with potentially free shipping to pick this guy up? Hell yes, it is. This thing is freaking cool. And again, I know he's got issues with the lower arms and the hips, but outside of that, for the price, I mean, what else are you getting at that price $20, all the way down to $14 that look this good. Again, I reiterate, look at that head sculpt for a knockoff figure. You just can't beat that. And then the dog itself, I mean, come on, look at that. He's even got a little articulated head there. And then on top of all of that, the weapons in this are amazing. I mean, they really are some of the most detailed weapons I have seen on an action figure. And I don't even know, for $20 with free shipping, maybe even $14 with free shipping, where you can get weapons that are this accurate to real life firearms in some sort of weapons pack for, you know, $14 to $20. I don't know. And yeah, these don't work for everything. I mean, they're not going to work for larger figures as far as these guns go, but for 6-inch scale figures, this is an amazing set of a shotgun, an AR, and 2 Glocks, and they look fantastic. And that's just the butter on this figure, because for 14 to 20 bucks, you're getting a really, really cool figure, a cool doggo accessory, and I don't know what to say, man. I'm very impressed with this. I'm very glad that I have this guy, and very thankful to the subscriber who sent this to me. Thank you so much, because this thing is just cool. And had I known it was this cool, I would have already bought one of these myself. I just figured it was a KO, and you can't trust the pictures on Aliexpress, so I never picked one up. But damn, am I glad I have one now, because I absolutely love this thing. He's going to look great on the shelf, and I'm just happy to finally have a cool John Wick figure. And unlike the actual MAFEX version, it didn't cost me like $100 or whatever those things go for on the secondary market. Now, at this point, that is not to say you should just buy KO and ignore the real stuff. No. I have hardly any KO figures in my collection, mostly because it doesn't matter how cheap they are, they're just not good figures at any price. But this one's pretty damn good. I gotta admit, it has its issues, but it is pretty damn good. So anyway, I would love to hear what you guys think in the comment section down below. Let me know. Thank you guys for watching, and always remember to enjoy your collection.